We are live. I'm just going to give everyone a couple minutes to hop in, that's able to hop in. I want to welcome you. Welcome, welcome. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started into today's conversation. Now, excuse me. All right. The hardest working leader on your team might be the biggest problem that your team has. Now, come closer. I'm going to explain. Now, excuse me, the weather's got me a little. Whew. Here's the thing that what it actually looks like. Okay, if you have a business owner that builds a team of 5 people, they all are smart, capable people, but everyone has every time something gets complicated, that owner or that leader steps in. Every time there's a decision that needs to get made, well, that leader is going to make it. Every time that something goes sideways, she's going to handle it because she's good at it. And quite frankly, it's faster, right? And then 2 years later, let's just say she wants to take a vacation, step away from the office for a little bit. Now she can't. Why? She can't even step away for a day because her phone is blowing up. And it's not because her team isn't capable, but it's because she never gave them the room to be capable. You see, she built her business on running with her other than running without her. Okay. And the whole time, she's probably thinking, like, oh, it feels like good leadership. Well, here's what that was doing. That's what we're going to get into. I'm not going to give you too much too soon. That's what we're going to get into today. And so that's why I'm so excited about today's conversation. If any of what I said to you thus far sounds familiar, stay with me. You're in the right place today. All right. I want to welcome you to Quiet Authority Conversations. This is the live series of the Quiet My podcast. I am Natasha. I'm your host, and I want to thank you for joining me today. I am super glad that you're here. If you are watching live, I want you to go ahead and drop a hello in the comments. I see you. If you're joining the replay, go ahead and drop replay. Okay. Tell me where you're joining from, whether it's the replay or live. I want to welcome you. I'm so happy you're here. Everything we're going to talk about today applies whether you're live or whether you're joining the replay. Okay. So no worries there. Today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to break down 3 things that happen when a leader does way too much and what it quietly costs the team that's around them. Okay. But before we do that, here's the thing that makes this pattern so hard to catch because it happens. It doesn't feel like a problem, it doesn't feel like dedication. Um, like caring about outcomes is what it feels like. It feels like being a leader who just shows up, right? And in small doses, well, it actually is all of those things. The problem is when it becomes the default. When the leader is always the one that's stepping in, cleaning everything up. It's always the one with the answer. Is always the one that's handling things when it goes sideways. Because on the other side of that, the team stops building that muscle, right? They stop building that muscle to do things for themselves. And they stop trying to meet a standard that they've been shown that they can't hit from the leader unintentionally. They stop believing that their judgment is even needed. And you end up with a capable team that doesn't act like a capable team. Today, we're going to get into what that actually looks like. And as a heads up, I have three things that I'm going to talk about. They are not in a particular order, so they're not like first, second, third place, but there are 3 things, okay, that I'm going to get into today. And as always, I won't be here before you long. So we're going to go ahead and get into it. Number one, your team stops making decisions because they've learned that you'll make them. Okay. This one is one that shows up so quietly that most leaders don't even notice it until they're completely overwhelmed. Okay. It's that silent creeper. It starts small. A team member has to make a decision. And when they're making that decision, they don't make it. Instead, they bring it to their leader, and the leader answers it because it's faster. They know what the right call is, And the next time a similar situation is going to come up, the same thing happens. And then the time after that, and eventually the pattern is so established that the team member stops even thinking through the decision themselves before bringing it to their leader. Because why would they, right? Why do that? It's quicker, just bring it to them. Because the leader always has the answer. Now, the leader, on the other hand, is spending a significant portion of their day answering questions, making the calls that their team is fully capable of. But the team has stopped building that muscle because it hasn't been needed. Okay. I worked with a business owner once who couldn't take a day off without her phone blowing up. And it wasn't because her team wasn't smart, not because they weren't experienced, but because for 2 years, every question had come to her. She would answer it. So her team had no practice in making decisions without her. They were not incapable, they were undertrained. And the training gap was created by the leader who thought she was just being helpful by giving them all the answers. What happens when a leader never lets their team sit with a decision long enough to make this decision is this: every question you answer for your team is a decision that they did not learn how to make. And that brings us to number two: your standards become a moving target that only you can hit. Here's one that I want you to sit with because it's the one that tends to make leaders get quiet for a minute. Okay. You see, when a leader consistently steps in to fix, redo, or take over work that their team has done, they're sending a message. Not intentionally, but they're sending a message, okay? Even if they never say it out loud. And the message is this: what you did wasn't good enough, and I'll handle it from here. And over time, that message does something really specific to a team. It makes them even stop trying to meet a standard that you're showing them that they can't even hit. So, why would anyone put their full effort into something that they know is going to just get redone? Why would they develop their own approach to a problem when they've seen that their leader's approach always wins? Why would they take ownership of something, of an outcome, when ownership always ends up back with the leader anyway, right? It's just, they just feel like it's a waste of their time. And I can totally get that. I saw a version of this play out with a manager who had incredibly high standards. I mean, they were super high, genuinely impressive, but they applied those standards by fixing everyone else's work instead of developing their team's ability to meet them. So the work that went out was always excellent, but the team had no idea how to produce excellent work because that manager was always in the middle of it. The manager was the quality, and that meant that the manager could never step back. Okay. Um, as a result, the team was exhausted, their team was disengaged, and both of those things were the direct result of a leadership approach that looked like high standards but functioned like a ceiling. Okay. And that's what happens when you have a leader that becomes the standard instead of teaching it. Okay. If you're the only one that can do it right, you haven't built a team. What you've built is dependency. And that leads me to my third point: your team's confidence quietly shrinks, even when their skills don't. Okay. Now, this one I want to speak to directly because I think that I think it's the one that gets talked about the least. Okay. When a leader consistently does more than their share, steps in before the team has a chance to step up, they handle things before the team has a chance to handle them. What happens to the team's belief in themselves is slow and quiet and very, very real. They start to believe that they need their leader more than they actually do. Not because they're incapable, but because the evidence of their own capability keeps getting removed before they can even experience it. Every time a leader steps in early, the team member doesn't even get a chance to find out what they could have figured out. Every time a leader takes something back over, the team member doesn't get to finish what they started. And over time, the message received, even without words, and oftentimes I'll say um, unintentional, okay? Because I don't think that it comes from a place of malice. But what that leader is saying is that that team member can't be trusted to handle things on their own. And the painful irony is that the leader who is doing all of this usually genuinely believes in their team. And they're not stepping in because they think their team is incapable. They're stepping in because they care about the outcome. But caring about the outcome and developing your team's ability to achieve it are two totally different things. Okay, friend? And you can only do one of them by letting go. Okay. Now, what I've seen happen to teams when this pattern runs long enough is this: a team that never trusted to figure it out will eventually stop believing that they can. Okay. Now, I want to say something to the leader who does a lot, maybe too much. I'm talking to you, friend. This is from a good place. Come lean in, come closer. Okay. I know why you do it. It's not ego, it's not control for the sake of control. It's because you care, because you have high standards, because it's genuinely faster sometimes, because you don't want your team to fail or struggle or feel unsupported. Listen, I get it. Okay. But here's what I want you to hear today: the most supportive thing that you can do for your team is not to handle things for them, it's to create enough space for them to handle things themselves, to let them sit with a problem long enough to solve it. Okay. To let them make a decision and live with the outcome, to let them develop the confidence that only comes from actually doing the hard thing without someone stepping in. And I know it's hard. Okay. Your team doesn't need you to do less because you're not good enough. They need you to do less because they need the room and the space to become more. And the room only exists if you, as a leader, create it. That's not stepping back, it's leaning forward. And your team doesn't need you to do everything, they need you to make room for them to become capable of something. Okay. So here's what I want you to take away today: doing everything is not the same as leading well. The leaders who build teams that are genuinely capable, genuinely confident, genuinely able to run without them in the middle of everything are the ones who had the highest output. They're the ones who were intentional about creating space. Space. That's the big thing, creating space for their team to grow. Okay. That takes more patience than stepping in, but what it builds lasts a lot longer. And you'll thank your future self. Okay. Now take a look this week at one thing that you're currently handling that your team could handle. Not perfectly at first, but well enough. And let them handle it. See what happens. Now, before we close out, I want to hear from you. Okay. Whether it's the replay or the live, go ahead, drop a comment right now and tell me what's one thing, one thing that you know you should be handing off to your team. Every single comment I read. Okay. I genuinely want to know where are you at with this? Okay. What's one thing that you can hand off to your team? Okay. Let's talk about it. And if today's session gave you something useful, I want you to share with a leader in your life who needs to hear this message. Okay. That's honestly the best way to help keep this channel growing and to keep the conversations going. Also, I want to give you a heads up because something is coming very, very soon that I think, no, I know you're going to want to be a part of. Okay. If you're not already subscribed or if you're not already following, now is a really good time to make sure that you are so that you don't miss it when it drops. Okay. I have something new for you here every Thursday. And remember, the quiet ones move the room. So let your quiet speak loud. I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.